in the virtual space. I really would like to thank you, Stefan, for bringing this idea from the Nordic Conference into reality. I'm excited to see how we can develop it also further on. Perhaps we can have some extended ideas of how to exchange lessons when we teach at our different courses. But I'm going to talk to you about a project I'm doing together with Nana, but also Katrine Dahl Madsen is part of it. The title, as you can see, is Connecting Waste Education in Schools to Consumption and Material Cultures at Home. Perhaps you wonder a little about we're going to talk about waste in education and so on. It's a classical issue, but on the other hand, perhaps you also have the idea that this is a very boring instrumental and normative issue or something like that. At least I have found that a lot of what is made in this area is like that. But I would try to make another take on it. And as you can see on this first slide, I invite you to listen to it and to ask questions in two different on two different abstraction level, you can say, because I think that this is also, and I would explain that further. It's also inviting to a critical discussion of approaches to environmental and sustainability education research. So it is an example of another way of doing it than perhaps mainstream way of doing it. And then the other thing is that I would like to suggest a reframing of waste education in schools. And I would do that in relation to two empirical projects. The first was a project we concluded it a few months ago on school and kindergarten as learning space for handling of waste. And then we have an ongoing project that is in direct relation to the first one about waste education between kindergarten, schools, and home. But first, about some more general thoughts. I should just be able to click here. Yeah. As I said, that I think waste, perhaps, and waste education becomes looking a little like a trivial normative and environmental education issue. I was quite surprised when we made a review on what's possible to find on waste and education, because it is not that much, and most of it is almost purely empirical. Some teachers have done some kind of action learning project and a report about their experiences and so on. But I think that we perhaps could talk about the approaches in a historical perspective. You can say that environmental education as a field of educational practice, but also the research, in some way started with a kind of point of departure in the environment. So it was kind of concern with the environment that was kind of pushing for educational practices. And at least if you see both the Danish and the Swedish research in this area, as to some extent it can be said to be a kind of response to that from educational theory. So instead of taking the point of departure in the environment, in the issue, the point of departure has been taken in educational theory. And from then, we have tried to clarify how we can approach environmental and sustainability education. And then, if you do that, then you can also take up waste as just another issue in that. But I think perhaps what we sometimes are missing in this educational approach to environmental and sustainability education is that it's like sometimes that the issue or the content doesn't matter at all. So I often, when we are talking about sustainability education, ask what does it mean that it is sustainability and not something else? Because we often talk in very general terms of how to educate and bring students to be more democratic and so on. So in this presentation, I would actually, in a way, go back to the first one, but do it in another way. So it's kind of presenting some theoretical approaches to waste and their implication for waste as an issue in environmental and sustainability education. You can say that that the normal way of approaching it is either kind of taking waste as a kind of scientific studies of pollution prevention and ecological approaches. There you have the idea of waste as a side effect, either polluting or perhaps as an element in ecological systems. So waste management is, for example, to collect or filter or store waste in different systems, or it can be different types of recycling. And in both of these way of looking at it, you have a quite technocratic idea of education as knowing and doing the right thing. So there we have the kind of instrumental normative way. But you could also say that right now there is a change in the way waste is approached. It has become more a kind of part of a system thinking. So if you take an ecological economic approach, you could talk about circular economy or bioeconomy. And I'm not sure about this approach. What could waste be there? Otherwise, I think it perhaps would move waste education in the direction of system thinking, or even the more kind of green skill education, technical and vocational education training. So that is the first two ways, but I'm going to talk more about some other ways of doing it. And there I go to the social sciences and to interdisciplinary approaches to waste. For example, you can have from anthropology, there is actually waste is a quite important area, because, you know, anthropologists and archaeologists often are looking at people in old time by looking at their rubbish, and find things that tell them something about that society that this rubbish come from. And there are actually two quite different approaches inside this socio-cultural perspective. The first one is quite famous. Mary Douglas made a book many years ago about purity and danger, which was a kind of it opposed the hygiene discourse that was very dominant at that time. And she defined waste as something, the matter out of place. It means that she showed that dirt and ambivalent feelings it generates exist in the eye of its beholder, rather than being a natural category. Dirt is first and foremost an offense against the good order of a given society. So she looked at waste as a kind of way of looking at the social order in society. The social order in society excludes something that becomes waste, and then it tells something about that society and social order. But in that way, she talked about waste as something that is an outspin of the social order, while Daniel Miller, another important anthropologist, have been working with material culture. And in his approach, you can say that his premise is that all culture is inextricably material process. So things make us as much as people make things, he said. So in that sense, he emphasized that the approaches to material culture is an approach which see on the exterior environment that habituates and prompts us, educating us into our place and identity in society. So here it is the matter, the materials, and also the waste that are influencing and making us. So waste system can be a part of this process. I think also there is a third one that we will also draw on in our study, and that is more to take an everyday life theoretical perspective, in which you can say that an everyday life is not just a set of single actions. It's a kind of symbolic and practical order. And to understand how waste works in society, we have to relate to how to waste become embedded in this practical and symbolic order. And then you can say that is very much still with the kind of point of departure in the social and cultural. And as a kind of reaction to this, we have the science technology studies, which more try to merge the kind of material processes and the social processes. So here they criticize the Douglas and Miller and others for overlooking that waste is just brute matter also, and that waste is an actant in a kind of actor network theoretical perspective. That you know perhaps this from actor network theory, Latour, and so on. But I have especially found that it is interesting to look at waste as social material practices. And that is a kind of new take on practice theory, because we have had several practice theories in social sciences before. But this here is very much driven forward by the professor in Lancaster, Elizabeth Shue. But she also draw on somebody. I can explain that further. First, I would say that in science technology study, there is another concept of technology than the normal one. In normal common sense talk, we talk about technology as the same as technique or as artifacts. But they have some criticism that I think is very important in relation to understanding waste. The first is a criticism of the individualization of problem and solution that we find in the more kind of technocratic approach to it, and also in the more conventional educational approaches to it. So it's important to have more understanding of waste as embedded in social system, and that you can say that from talking about techniques, we could talk more about technologies as social technical systems, and that include not only the physical artifacts, but also the organization and knowledge. Furthermore, you can say that often we can see that technology is approached like technology moves and we just receive as consumers, so it becomes a passive compliance. But what they point out, for example, the Norwegian Lee and Sørensen, is that we actually always domesticate technologies and form them by bringing them into our life. So it's an active process. Yeah. So now I would say a few things about social practice theory. Social practice theory was actually already brought in forward by Theodor Szatzky in the middle of the 90s. And it has been taken over by a number of people working with environmental and sustainability issue in relation to technology and everyday life. Like, for example, Elizabeth Shue I mentioned. So you can say that also in environmental and sustainability education, we often are making a differentiation between behaviorist approaches and action-oriented approaches, where action is the more conscious and behavior the more kind of instrumental, non-conscious behavior. But actually, it can perhaps be inspiring to try to draw on this concept of practice instead of, because practice in some way include both of the more kind of just sensual, emotional way of learning about our life, and the more reflective, action-oriented. And practice, you can always say that it has to be understood as something that grow historically, is social and material constructs. I have this figure. I can see it's very difficult to see it, but it actually shows that there is a number of social practices in the middle of the figure. For example, washing and cleaning, child caring, gardening, sport and leisure, and so on. It could also be waste handling. But what it shows is that we have on the one side the agent, the individual, and the other side we have some structures. And the structures make some collective material, social material systems. And while we as humans in our everyday life try to construct a lifestyle that bring order in our life, and that becomes normal habitus, like Bourdieu would say. But the point, I think, is that the social practices are constructed in the interplay between these two things. And that is what social practice theory actually tries to explore on different types of practices. So in the theory of social practices, a practice always is something that happens in a kind of interaction between the meaning of the practices, both the emotional and the kind of more reflective attitudes, the competences, that is knowledge, skills, and so on, and the materials. And the materials not only as the artifacts outside you, but also your own body. So they talk about that these three things are influencing each other, and so practices are actually a kind of cluster, a construct made like that. And then a practice have many different elements. For example, a waste practice can have elements of using package and bringing it into different waste bins and so on. But what is important when we understand like waste practice, for example, is that they are related and overlapping with other practices. And they can contain some of the same things. For example, can cooking, shopping, and waste can have something about packaging is an issue in all three of them. And sometimes you can also see that some practices are complementing each other, so they influence each other by, so to speak, competing with each other. For example, in homes, it would typically be the leisure time relaxing issues more compared to the household duties, cleaning, waste sorting, and other issues. And then they also talk about that you can say that there are clusters of practices. But all that just means that to understand that if we talk about waste, it is not just a single action or a single behavior we have isolated from other things we are doing. Sorry, I think I was, yeah. No, I have to go back here. So I will talk about waste practices and the school, kindergarten, home relation. So if we look at that, you can say that what we have met in our empirical studies is that there is an educational idea that children can can have the function as being ambassadors, bringing recycling waste practice into their homes. So they learn something in school about recycling, and then they perhaps or even practice it in school, and then they go home and convince their parents to do the same. But what we also was surprised to see was that the children's waste practices and experiences at home were not included in the waste education at the schools. So if we look at what waste practice could be in the way, or how it could be an approach in waste education, we will perhaps open for other kind of question and other ways, issues that can be raised and that the children can explore. For example, they can explore how waste practices are related to other practices in different ways in the school and at home, rather than explore and rather explore them than ignore them. Because what we think is more real is that actually are the waste practices at school and the way they are constructed different from they are at home. For example, you have all the cooking activities, you have all the shopping, you have the leisure time activities at home. At school, you have a much different situation where you have every day in the school divided into lessons and with learning as a key issue, and waste is almost most on the packages of the lunch or what it is. So there are two different realities, and it can be interesting for to instead of to ignore that, to make it an issue for learning. And then you can also say that in more in general, you can explore waste practices. Why are they as they are? How have they been constructed? By whom? How were they before in time? How do they do at other places, in other countries, cultures? And what are the problems for who? So different waste technologies with different social implications can be an issue. So in that sense, it becomes a broader exploration with the point of departure in waste that bring in a broader knowledge about how that is connected with a number of other issues. And then, of course, one thing is to this kind of explorations, but you can also work with experiments with waste technology as more than artifacts and as related to context and practices. I can mention an example of this, and that was at one school where the teachers tried to encourage the students to make waste bins in carton and to put them into the different school classes at the school and learn the other students how to use them and to collect waste and to take care in how it was handled. For the teachers, this activity was mostly something just to make it more fun, that if he or she should tell the student all these things. It was a kind of activity learning. But what we see is that actually they were learning something about technology. They met problems because the waste bin didn't work as they expected. There was too much water in some of the waste, and the other classes reacted in other way than expected, and the collection of the waste at the school and how it was brought out in the municipality system made also problems. So they met a number of problems and learned about how to handle. So that was a kind of exemplar case in waste technology. Okay, that was some ideas of what waste education could be, but I would conclude with this slide, where I just want to say that we could perhaps also challenge the idea that waste should be in focus, and then the other aspects should be explored around the waste practices. We could flip the perspective from a focus on waste to a focus on practices or on materials or on products. And then when we deal with these materials, product, practices, we could see waste as a dimension in that. So in this, we take some other practices and see waste as an element in these practices. And that could open for exemplaric learning about exploring how social material trajectories and waste as part of these practices. Yeah, so that was very kind of a speed talk through all this, and I want